My name's Kevin Gibson. My story really starts in February of 2016, so really 3 years ago. Had some health issues and had spent 8 or 9 months kind of going back and forth, and the doctor finally convinced me to go see a gastro doctor based on some symptoms that I'd had. So I went and had an upper GI and a colonoscopy all done on the same day on February 10th of 2016. And when the gastro doctor came out to meet my wife and myself, he, without hesitation, told me that I had colon cancer. You would think if you get told you have cancer that the world's coming to an end. Well, that wasn't the case. And part of that was we knew right off the bat that God was in control. There was no doubt. And so we were confident, even though the diagnosis didn't look good, we were confident that he was in control and he would see us through it. Once we got through the diagnosis stuff, treatment started. I did radiation and chemo for 6 weeks. And then in November of 16, I went and had surgery to remove this 10-inch tumor in my colon that obstructed about 80%. So it was a huge tumor that they took out. Had some complications around that surgery, got some infection, wound back up in the hospital, and I got peritonitis. And within 2 hours or so of going back to my room, I wound up in trauma ICU where I spent the next 17 days. And doctors told my wife 3 different times I wasn't going to make it. Peritonitis takes out 90% of the people that contract it within 12 hours. And so to survive that, it shows me that God's plan is not finished. It shows me that my journey's not over. So we did the CAT scan in June, mid-June, I guess. And it came back and resulted in an MRI and resulted in a biopsy and stuff. And what they had determined was I had this spot on my lung that they found in December, but from December to June, I had multiple spots on my liver. I had a spot on my adrenal gland. I had spots on my other lung that had developed. And on a Friday morning, I got the pathology report through the doctor's portal, I guess, and went and met with the doctor. And when he talked to me on the phone that morning and said, hey, come see me this afternoon, we'll get you in at 12:45. He says, you need to bring your wife. We sat down and the doc basically told us that while our situation in February of 2016 was deemed curable, at this point, it was not curable any longer. In other words, the chemo didn't work the first time or didn't work 100% the first time. So there's no way to now go treat it and try to get rid of it. I turned 51 at the end of February. And so at 50 years old, the doctor's telling you got 2 months, 3 months. So he shared some statistics and he said that, 50% make it a year, 30% will make it 3 years, and about 11% make it 5 years. And the funny thing about that was I had already talked to my oncologist over the course of time and established that he was a believer. And I told him at that point when he gave me the stats, that the stats didn't mean anything to me, that God was in control. And if God wanted me here 30 years, I'd be here 30 years. Or if he wanted me here 2 minutes, he better be ready to dial 911 because they were going to come pick me up off the floor. So the question is it 30 years or is it just a few minutes? We don't know. And so that's where the journey kind of took a turn and we had to figure out what's next. And so we sat down and we had a little family meeting and got all the kids together and I got my 18-year-old cracking jokes and my wife's like, well, are you ready? Well, even at that point, I had no idea what I was going to say, but God showed up, sat on my shoulder and spoke, or I had never got the words out. And we told him what was going on and explained what the statistics were and all that kind of stuff. But we stressed that God was in control and that, his will is going to be done no matter what that timing is or how long that timing is. Legacy is not about today. Legacy is about tomorrow. The problem is people think that when they're dealing with legacy, they can wait till tomorrow to start. You can't. You have to start planning legacy and living for legacy today. You have to live intentional and you have to make decisions in life that may occur 30 years before something happens. But those decisions all compound and get you to the point where at the end of the journey, things have been prepared so that your loved ones are taken care of. It's about the opportunity that you create by making those decisions, and then leveraging that or those decisions that you made early in life or even just 6 months ago in life to help that person that has a need, whether it's through the church or whatever, and being able to be in a position financially where you can do that. And it's not always about doing it where you're in the spotlight. It's about doing it anonymously where people don't know that you even did it. Because that's what God expects when it comes to giving and helping and doing this. It's not about raising the flag and shining the light on yourself and taking some claim to doing something to help somebody. It's about doing it in secret where people don't know. It's about meeting that need and helping that person or that family or whatever it is get to the next level they need to get to. So my wife and myself, we did our will 21 years ago before our first child was actually born. And we did it not so much out of a need to have a will, but we did it from a guardianship perspective because we were going to have a child and we needed to know if something happened to both of us at the same time that the kid was going to be taken care of. And if you think about it, a lot of people think, oh, my sister will take care of the child, my brother will take care of my uncle, my mom, whatever. Well, that's not how it works. If you don't have a will and you're killed in a car accident or something happens, the state takes that child. And then the people who want to take care of that child have to fight for that child. So a will, if you're 20, if you're 30, if you're 50, is super important because what that will does is it helps people know what your wishes are. Who's going to care for the kids, what your wishes specifically are. And people are expected to, follow through with those wishes once something happens. So it doesn't matter if you're 20 or 25 or whatever, having a will is something that you need to focus on because it can be updated anytime, and it's easy. The other thing is insurance, life insurance. And this is something that everybody, again, I don't care if you're 20 or if you're 40, you need to hear this. If you work for a company that offers group life, when you leave that company after 3, 4, 5 years, you will have an option to maintain that group life policy by paying those premiums quarterly forever. And as long as you pay the premiums, you can keep those policies. The simple fact is we're all going to die. There's no question. It's a matter of when, not if. And people don't think about that. At 30 years old, I was invincible. I didn't think about that. At 50 years old, I was invincible. Didn't think about that. But when the doctor sits you down and tells you you're terminal, you quickly start to think about that because you realize it's coming in. And I'll tell you, I'm not afraid to die. There's no concern as to what happens. In fact, I probably would be better off if God took me home tomorrow than to drag on for 10 years. But in reality, what keeps me going day to day is my family and the pain that they're going to suffer when it is time for me to go. And that's what keeps me focused on the big picture and fighting the fight, doing the things I have to do and doing treatment, all the different things that I'm doing because it's about them. It's not about me. Never was.